Now excited to be joined by a very special guest. It is the next round's Jim Dunaway. Jim, I had Ryan on a few weeks ago. Scale of 1 to 10, jealousy wise. Where were you at with that?
I can't remember. I think was Neil Armstrong of the Conor O'Gara podcast way back in the day. So, he could be Apollo 12 if he wants to be, 13 circled, whomever was the last guy to go. But I'm back again. I'm back on the O'Gara podcast again. So I'm excited to be here. But jealousy, I'm a big FOMO guy. So if somebody else is doing something, I want to be a part of it always.
I did you the solid. I come in peace. I'm wearing a shirt of your beloved Tampa Bay Rays. This is technically a Devil Rays shirt because the old logo and whatnot. So I come in peace today, and I think that should be said at the top because we're going to ask some tough questions here, some tough questions about Alabama, and I think you guys have probably had to address this at multiple points. Odd as it sounds, but let's start with a Kalen DeBoer question here. What is a better chance of happening? Nick Saban becoming a CrossFit guy or Kalen DeBoer taking the Penn State job?
Well, Nick Saban's a workout fiend, man.
But CrossFit's a little bit different for him.
It is. It is. I don't think either would happen. The Kalen DeBoer I know now, I will say up front, I'm not as close with him as I was with Nick Saban or Mike Shula before that, or even Dennis Franchione, Mike DeVos, Gene Stallings. But he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to me that would take on this challenge, move his family cross country, only to cut and run after 2 years. So neither's my answer, but I would go Nick Saban CrossFit, who is always looking for another mountain to climb, than Kalen DeBoer. Now, you may know something I don't know, and I'll look idiotic here, but I think Kalen DeBoer not only wins at Auburn, gets Alabama into the SEC championship game. I personally think they win the SEC championship game. I think they get a bye in the playoffs, and then we'll see what happens after that. That's how I think Kalen DeBoer is going to stick the landing, and I think Nick Saban looks great with a kettlebell.
He probably would. I mean, who are we kidding? Who am I to doubt him? But I almost feel like this is what happened with this in any sort of association, which it feels comical to even say out loud. And I'm on record saying, like, what are we doing here? But it seems like Penn State got off the hook for tens of millions of dollars with this James Franklin buyout, with the offset that he's now going to get at Virginia Tech. And then Pat Kraft, the Penn State AD, sat down with boosters and they basically said, so if money's not an object, who do we feel like we can go out there and get right now if there's greater than 0% chance? And they started with DeBoer, and that's what gets floated out there, that, oh, Kalen DeBoer, just never say never. Maybe he's not happy at Bama. That just seems so insane to me. So that's the last that we could spend on that. I have seen that Kane Womack is in the discussion now for the Arkansas job. He kind of, moved past those discussions, understandably so, with his media availability this week. And then Ryan Grubb being one of the candidates linked to the Cal job that just came open with Justin Wilcox's firing over the weekend. How realistic are those two possibilities that Kalen DeBoer has to replace one of his coordinators?
Well, that's par for the course around here at Alabama. And if you're good at what you do, you end up replacing coordinators. That's something Nick Saban did on the reg through his 17 seasons here. Kane Womack was a sitting head coach when he left South Alabama to come and reunite with his old teammate from the Indiana days here in Tuscaloosa to help try to replace Nick Saban to be the next coach in line. So obviously Kane can be a head coach. I think his defense has been a shining moment in this, and his family ties to Arkansas is tremendous. And there's only 16 head coaching jobs in the Southeastern Conference. I wouldn't leave a coordinator position for just any head coaching job, but if it's one of the ones that can compete in the SEC or the Big Ten, there's a lot of stability in those situations. And I think Arkansas, with their booster money, can win. I think they can be top half of the SEC, which makes you a playoff contender. Now, obviously, if you start doing the math, there's too many top end of the SEC programs, so somebody's going to lose every now and then, be below the halfway line, the Mendoza line there. But I really believe that Arkansas can win every now and then at an elite level, a playoff level. So why would you not take that job? And then Ryan Grubb is one of the great play callers. So good that he was in the NFL last year at Seattle. And that didn't go well, and he's back at college. But I love his schemes, and even when Alabama's offense has slipped this year, in the last few weeks, it's been not hitting open receivers or protection breaking down. I've been at these games and the receivers have been open. So I think Ryan Grubb is an elite schemer of offensive football, and that's the kind of guy you're going to need at Cal. So I love both of those guys for both of those jobs, whether they get them or not. That's a compliment, I think, to what Alabama has accomplished or can accomplish, and the kind of people Kalen DeBoer has on the coaching staff. So I'd put that as a high probability, but that's not going to scare anybody here because they've seen it that way for 17 years.
Let's talk about Saturday. First on the Auburn side here. It feels like we're going to see both Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight, especially after what Deuce Knight did this past weekend against Mercer. It's ironic considering that Jackson Arnold is the guy who last year ran all over Bama, and he's the guy that could, in a two quarterback system, he's kind of the odd man out in this setting, but it wouldn't obviously, be much of a surprise at all. How should Auburn play this? If you were DJ Durkin and you had the option, knowing what you just saw from Deuce Knight, knowing what you have in that quarterback room, how should they go about this against this Kane Womack defense?
Well, I don't want to be the scoop of vanilla ice cream here on the podcast, but if Deuce Knight plays in this game, then it's going very well for Alabama.
Mm.
It's desperation time for Auburn at that point. There's no way that you go to the trouble of saving Ashton Daniels' red shirt for him not to be your guy. You're convinced he's your guy in this game. And all of a sudden, you're going to go to your third quarterback just because of what he did against Mercer, who was getting ready to go into the playoffs on the FCS level against Alabama in an Iron Bowl game. That's advantage Alabama to me if Deuce Knight's in this game because he has no seat time. And maybe he's in there because it's not going great for Ashton Daniels. So anytime you see Deuce this weekend, that's advantage Alabama, in my opinion. I thought he looked fantastic. I saw him back in the spring, and he has an unbelievable arm. You saw that he could outrun FCS guys. We'll see how it is when he plays SEC guys, but he's a tremendous athlete. But I also say, man, that's Mercer, and I'm not going to go to a Waffle House and expect my steak to taste the same when I'm at a 5-star restaurant. And he was playing a Waffle House defense this past weekend. And if you get out there against a good SEC team, that great stat line can get scattered, covered, and smothered really quickly. So if Deuce is in the game, man, that's a check in Alabama's corner, in my opinion. That means something has gone wrong with Ashton, and Auburn's coaching staff's in a panic mode at that point.
If Auburn wins this game and Deuce Knight does things that are significant and the type of thing that adds to Iron Bowl lore, can you guys at the next round get the Deuces Loose trademarked? Can we work on that?
It's already been trademarked here in the state. It was David Palmer back in 1992. He wore number
Oh,
2, led Alabama to a national championship. The great Eli Gold, the deuce is loose. So that's been going. So throwing deuces, double deuce. There's deuces that can be out there. Deuce is wild. We can come up with several scenarios for T-shirts, but the deuce is loose is part of the other side of the state from Auburn in the 1992 championship season.
do you think DJ Durkin could have a real shot at shedding the interim tag if he wins the Iron Bowl?
I believe he's in the mix to be the next head coach at Auburn. I really believe, though, it's John Summerall. And if Summerall says no, I believe DJ Durkin's the next guy. I'm
Mm.
not sure there's a plan B after Tulane's head coach because the roster retention is very important for Auburn right now because the one thing Hugh Freeze did correctly was bring in a lot of talent. And a lot of that talent loves DJ Durkin, especially on the defensive side of the football when you start talking the Xavier Atkins of the world, guys who could really make an impact moving forward. And they love DJ Durkin. So DJ Durkin being part of Auburn in 2026 is crucial for this roster to keep building and stacking on. Auburn had gotten so far behind when it came to their competitive roster compared to other SEC teams. They've equaled that up a little bit now. Just missing on quarterback, which has probably kept them from being a playoff contender the last couple of years. This roster is building, keeping a lot of that roster in place as much as you can in 2025 college football. Probably ties a lot to DJ Durkin, who the hire is. I think the dream scenario is John Summerall with DJ Durkin on the coaching staff. But if Summerall's out, I believe DJ Durkin is a guy who really gets a hard look, all because of that roster retention and maybe what he's shown. I don't think it has anything to do with actually beating Alabama, just how competitive he's made them look down the stretch and how much the players like him.
Hear me out, because I do think if you're DJ Durkin, you're looking at John Summerall's background, defensive minded guy, and that'd be a little bit tough for you to kind of stay on board in this day and age of college football. Another dream scenario: John Summerall as the head coach, Chip Kelly as the OC. Chip Kelly is the OC on the Plains. Now
Yeah.
that could get me excited out of bed.
Well, I mean, it would, but Chip's 8 wins at UCLA, went to win a national championship at Ohio State, and now just fired at Las Vegas. It seems like three major moves in less than 24 months. Probably takes a beat before he jumps back in and coaches college football at Auburn next year. That seems to be a bridge too far to me. And back to the a defensive coordinator like DJ Durkin wanting to team up with John Summerall. I mean, Summerall not going to call his own defensive schemes. That's not the kind of guy he is. Nick Saban, Nick Saban had great defensive minds always on his coaching staff and had the utmost respect for DJ Durkin. In fact, I think DJ Durkin's at Auburn in part because of Nick Saban a little bit. I think he maybe gave Hugh Freeze a little heads up that DJ Durkin's available. You should hire this guy. And I think anybody would be smart to have DJ Durkin on the coaching staff. I think he's that good of a defensive mind. I don't think just because John Summerall is a great defensive mind, he would shy away from DJ Durkin. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and maybe I'm looking too far into kind of his history of what he's been post Maryland after all that fallout of working with only offensive minded head coaches, working with Jimbo, working with Lane Kiffin, and working obviously with Hugh Freeze. Like it's been, kind of to be able to have that total autonomy. But you're right. I mean, who knows in this day and age? And you could get creative with some of those moves. I don't think you can overstate what this game means for Kalen DeBoer. I don't really think you can. It's weird that in this era of college football and the 12-team playoff that Alabama's variance is still so wide. They're the only team left who can miss the playoff all while potentially earning a first-round bye as well. Do you get the sense that this team feels that?
I think it's become a theme in recent Iron Bowl years at Auburn is that Alabama goes into this game with a lot on the line, and Auburn has very little on the line except to win this game. Almost a little guerrilla warfare. The prize for Auburn is bowl eligibility, but that pales in comparison going to a 6-6 bowl game as opposed to knocking off your rival just for the rivalry win, but also knocking them out of the playoffs and maybe making the head coach a little bit more unstable that followed Nick Saban. So that's the big prize for Auburn in this one, and it is a wide variation, but I think that's where we are when you sign up for this schedule now in the Southeastern Conference, and it's only going to get worse in 9 games. That line between for the elite of the elites of what is successful and what is a not successful season comes down to making the playoffs, and then for some programs, once you're in the playoffs, actually doing something. I mean, let's don't forget, it's not in the SEC. It's not Alabama, the crazy Alabama fans. It's not the crazy SEC fans. Penn State fired their coach early this year after going to the semifinals last year. So this isn't just an Alabama problem or an SEC problem. This is a college football problem now. Is we want it and we want it now. And Kalen DeBoer has the "we want it now" job of this century. It's Alabama football. They want it right now. They're used to being in the playoffs with 4 teams. They were used to being in it with 2 teams, and they would find it mind-boggling if they're not in it for a second straight year in a 12-team playoff. So that's what's on the line. Yeah, it's a calm the fan base win for Alabama if he beats Auburn this weekend, and if he doesn't, it'll be just as bad as it was the weekend after Florida State. I hate that side of college football. I really do. That you can't build on something long term now, but that's where we are. Coaches have to do it. They have to do it now, and they get paid well to do it. That's what the money's for.
To quote the great Don Draper, that's what the money's
Yep.
for. You're
That's
exactly
what the money's
right.
for.
Look, Jeremy Bernard might have riled some of the Iron Bowl juice up.
Yeah.
Let's say that he got things going a bit by what he said with you guys earlier this week. Maybe a little bit of bulletin board material for Auburn as well. He said, "Why can't we go in there and blow them out like we did last year?" How much did Bama Jim start sweating when he heard that?
I mean, why can't they? I think if you've never played there, If you've never if you've never been through it, why do you have to mentally get into the mindset? It's like me about to hit a golf shot over water, right? I've never been in that particular part of the water on the golf course before, but there I am. I've got to hit over it. And then in my head, I start saying, man, don't hit it in the water. Don't hit it in the water. Then I hit it in the water. It's all mental. So for Jeremy Bernard to say, why can't we go in there and just blow them out like we did last year? Why can't we go play our A game? And that's what nobody talks about, right? I mean, you would agree if Alabama plays their A game and Auburn plays their A game, Alabama wins the football game. I mean,
Convincingly.
Alabama is about 7 points better on paper than Auburn is to me. So why not go? Now, blowout's an interesting choice of the word, but why not go play your best game? And those 87,000 fans and all the great pyrotechnics. I was at the Georgia game. There's no better game day atmosphere than at Auburn. It's up there with the best of the best. But you win. You win in Neyland before. You win in Tiger Stadium if you're an Alabama football team over the years. You win at the Swamp before. That's what you got to do in the SEC. That's SEC football. Winning at night on the road is hard. There are hard places to win. There's pyrotechnics everywhere. There are more screaming fans in some places. So why not have the attitude to go in there? But if I was a coach, would I be happy he said it? No. But Auburn shut down interviews this week, right? No player availability.
Is that right?
So,
I
I
didn't
mean,
know that.
let them talk, man. Let them talk and then try to go back it up.
It's interesting because you're right. Like, these guys haven't lost at Jordan Hare. It's not as if it's something that's hanging over them. Bama hasn't lost at Jordan Hare in the 2020s. And there's not a player on that roster that knows the house of horrors that obviously you have lived and experienced in a different sort of way. And everybody in the state of Alabama. What's the key for Alabama to avoid that, to avoid those conversations, to avoid people wondering in the fourth quarter of this game, is this about to be one of those moments at Jordan Hare?
Well, I will tell you that through the history when I've been there and Auburn has won the football game or Alabama's had to go to multiple overtimes or 4th and 31 to win it, there have been things that have happened. There have been missed field goals. Alabama's struggling at kicking right now. You get a great drive and you get into a chippy territory. Auburn stops you on 3rd down. You roll out the kicker to get an automatic 3. Well, then you miss the kick. Well, that's momentum Auburn, and the place gets a little bit more hyped up. Turnovers, always a problem anywhere you play at home. Alabama's home loss to Oklahoma because they turned the ball over. Alabama was the better football team that day. Turnovers always do it. Penalties also can be a problem. I've seen great Alabama teams go down there and either the false starts, the holding penalties, defensive pass interference, and that gets it going. Those three things are the things that can really get you out of whack. Special teams, the turnovers, and the penalties. And that's true at home, but especially when you're on the road in the SEC, and especially at this place where you just fuel the fire of what in reality is a 5-6 team playing the guy that they believe to be going into the season their third best quarterback. That's talent wise, Ashton Daniels, the coaching staff that was there had him as the third best quarterback. Now he ends up being their best quarterback, and he's unlocked the great receiving core. So this is the best version of Auburn that we've seen this year, but Alabama should be the better team. So just don't fuel the fire making mistakes, mental mistakes. You go play your A game, you should be okay.
Score prediction. You already said Bama's going to win. How much are they going to win by?
I don't think I said Bama's going to win, but
I think you did.
I do feel like Alabama's going to win the game. I think it'll be, a typical Alabama Auburn type game at Jordan Hare Stadium. If Alabama wins, the best game I saw Alabama play this year was in Athens in a hyped up nighttime atmosphere against Georgia. Just enough running game to keep everybody guessing, just enough running game to make the play action pass work. Great catches, big moments in the game, a drive right before the half, which in Alabama's big wins, they've had one for points right before the half. I would go a score like that. I'll go 24-21. Let's say we got a field goal instead of a kick here or there. I'll go 24-20 Alabama over Auburn for the win.
I like that. By the way, at this point, Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer, you trust Ty Simpson on 4th down more than you trust Connor Talty, probably at this point. Like,
Yeah, and I made a point on our show about that too, that there are, like, Nick Saban, usually a by the book, almost NFL style. Let's take the points. Let's do this. And then occasionally he'd kick an onside kick in the national championship game to steal possession, but he's usually a by the book guy. This coaching staff, back to Washington and before that, but even at Alabama, very comfortable going for it 4th and 3, 4th and 5, 4th and 7, just about anywhere on the field. And so if you do have kicking problems and in a situation on Saturday where you would have to or decide to go for it on 4th down, I think this coaching staff, this offensive team, very comfortable going for it on a 4th and 3, 4th and 5, because they've done it a lot and they do it in a lot in practice. So yeah, they're comfortable doing that, and would not be shocked to see them roll out the kicker only when they have to.
last one for you. It's not even a question. It's just a request. And logistics, it's a bit tough to work this out, but you guys could find a way. I know you can. Take Joel Klatt to his first SEC football game. That's all
Yeah,
I ask.
I really believe I believe somewhere down the road he will be one of the lead analysts on the Southeastern Conference. Somewhere down the road, I believe that. However, the contracts work out. Joel has Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, you're a Northern, you're a Big Ten guy. It's a big game. I watched it as a kid all the time. Never been to one,
It's
but
huge.
but the SEC is must see television for a reason, and part of it's what we're going to see at Jordan Hare Stadium. It's the atmosphere. It's the backup dancers that are the fans. It is the orchestra that is the pyrotechnics and the music inside the stadium. It's the chaos. It's the drunkenness. It's the food. And not that they don't have all of that in the Big Ten or the ACC or the Big 12, but I don't think they have it to the volume they have it in the SEC, and that's what makes Saturday night so special this week.
To say it's not in the same hemisphere, buddy. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, not going to be my take. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but yeah, just found that to be interesting. Jim, you are the best. You guys are the best. Hope you guys have hopefully a restful time coming up. This is a busy time of year for you guys,
Yeah.
man. Get some rest.
Well, thank you. We're very thankful for your friendship. I know that as we get ready for Thanksgiving. You've been such a blessing to us, and we always enjoy your work.
Thanks, man. That means a lot.